and Mark H. Newbill. Also participating this evening are staff members as noted.
We'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prior to the approval of agenda, we've got a couple items or at least one item to add. We'd like to move special items to number 5 above new business and then move new business to 6. Also would like to add 6.5 to new business being proposed North Main Street Hotel. Any other additions?
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next we have the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, special items. We have the 150th anniversary highlight.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This evening's highlight is going to be brief, but it is going to be a good one because we're highlighting a local musician who was born and raised and lived his whole life in Rocky Mountain. That is Mr. Rabbit Muse. Rabbit Muse was an African-American singer and musician who played guitar and blues ukulele, which is rather unique among musicians. He was born May 11th, 1908 in Rocky Mount and lived until August 27th of 1982. Rabbit Muse was a member of a family band that included his parents and cousins. Rabbit Muse played frequently on the streets of Rocky Mount, but his career included work in various stage shows, folk festivals, fiddlers contests, and appearances on Roanoke television stations. He had 2 records that were recorded at Outlet Studios just outside of town limits. In keeping with this long tradition of musical talent in our community, staff is working on a couple projects to highlight both the past and present music in our community. So we are looking to utilize the street sounds, that's the speakers that are on the lampposts downtown, to one day each week have local music exclusively played through those speakers. So we're looking at doing that on Thursdays. I've been working with Rex at the Harvester on that. And so Rabbit Muse actually has some digital recordings that are out there, so we'll make sure that he's featured on that along with our ample other talent. In addition, on Saturday, September 30th, we will be celebrating our 150th anniversary with a music festival in historic downtown Rocky Mount, and that event will be called 150 Fest. There are going to be about a dozen local acts that will be playing there, multiple stages throughout town, so there will be music, vendors, food, and kids' activities. So it'll be a great activity or a great event to bring the whole family out. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I didn't clear this with Daniel, so hopefully I won't get in trouble, but we have a local business that I won't name a name because it's just in discussion phase, but a local business that is actually looking into doing a Rabbit Muse mural to add to our murals that we have around town. And the second thing is, if you didn't get enough or you haven't gotten enough history highlights from Daniel and everyone else who's done that lately, Daniel's going to be at the brewery on Wednesday at 6:30, right? Rocky Mount History Trivia. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, the Living Proof Brewery will have that, and you'll get to see Daniel again. So
You good?
that's it.
All right. All right, next we'll move to new business. We got the Mary Bethune Park Playground purchase. Mr. Moore will present.
Thank you, Mayor. Evening, Council. Wanted to present this to you. I also wanted to make a few comments before you actually vote on the purchase. The request is pretty simple. We have been making our way in the last 3 years or so around the town, updating and improving our parks. We have a very vibrant park system for a town our size. Yet last year in the budget, you approved funding for replacing the Mary Elizabeth Park playground, as well as adding another picnic shelter there down next to the pickleball and basketball court. This year, continuing along that trend, we have you've approved in our CIP for the purchase of new playground equipment for Mary Bethune. We're excited about that. This adds to our growing stock of safe and wonderful parks that we have in the community. And so, before you all vote on it, it's a few details on it. It's purchased through a cooperative purchasing agreement. It's $105,000. It is it's below budget in our CIP, so budget-wise we're fine. But I wanted to point out that since I've been here a little less than 3 years, we've made improvements to Gillies Park. We've made improvements and got grant funding for Celeste Park. We've made improvements to Mary Elizabeth Park. We've made improvements to Mary Bethune Park. We terminated the lease for the property behind the YMCA. So now we have a new park that we're working on. We also have a dog park that Rotary and the Independence Festival was a part of helping fund. So I wanted to pull one number as a former Parks and Recreation Director. I wanted to pull one number. We have 36.11 acres of parks. The national average is one park per 2,287 residents. So we have 5 parks in the town, and so we have parks, and per the national average, we have more than twice as many parks as the national average. I think it's a great quality of life thing. I think that is something that should definitely be highlighted about your commitment and staff's commitment to improving our quality of life and all those things that has tentacles into economic development, retention of residents, things like that. I also want to take a moment and point out that we don't have a Parks and Recreation Department. And our Public Works maintains these departments. And Mr. Schofield's here in the back, and I want to commend him and his Public Works staff. The same guys that pave the streets, that pick up trash, that fix water mains, they maintain these parks too. So we have a vibrant Parks and Recreation system, and we do not have a Parks and Recreation Department. I am not here to get one. I'm just pointing out that we have a very well-run Public Works Department that handles a lot of things, and so they are to be commended for the care that they take of the town, and specifically today and tonight, the parks. So I'm appreciative of that as a former Parks and Rec guy. Back to the task at hand. The funding has been approved in the CIP. It is under budget. And the ask tonight is for you to approve the purchase of the Mary Bethune Playground that, if approved, would be installed this fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Moore?
No questions that respond to this. That park is very important, and a lot of people use that park. I used to live near there, and it's more or less like a multicultural park, because you hear different groups that comes in, and I really enjoyed it. Listen to different groups coming in to have the music as they entertain their family. So I'm all for purchasing that park.
Thank you, Mr. Casey.
Yes. There's a
I'll
motion.
second.
Motion to approve.
A motion in a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, connection fees for water service for the Blue Ridge Bible College. Mr. Wood will present.
This is an item that went to the Public Utilities Committee recently. The Bible College has added a new building. They're in the process of completing the building. It's kind of a multi-purpose type building that they'll use for classes and a lot of other activities. I think they figured out sort of late in the process that they needed to have a 6-inch meter in addition to their regular meter so that they could have fire protection, have a fire sprinkler system. When you're outside of town, the connection and impact fees can be pretty expensive on a 6-inch meter like that. So they asked if there was anything the town could do to help with that expense. We talked about it with the committee. The staff recommendation was not to give a waiver, because obviously that can become problematic and people feel like that'll set a precedent. And so the recommendation from staff was to consider letting them pay that over time. The recommendation that came out of the committee was to let them have up to 5 years to pay those connection fees. And one thing that we discussed at the staff level that's come up since then is we didn't talk at the committee meeting about whether there should be any sort of interest calculated or added to that, since it would be spreading it out over a 5-year timeline. So the staff recommendation for tonight is to go with what the committee recommended as far as letting them have that 4 or 5 year term to pay it. But we're also recommending that council consider having a percentage or some sort of a percentage rate, interest rate on that to account for the fact that it would be essentially giving them a loan for that amount of time. In a lot of legal situations and legal documents, you'll see a 6% number is used oftentimes for different kinds of activities. That also happens to be in the right ballpark for where interest rates are these days. And so if council is going to consider making interest part of the agreement that we would enter into with the Bible College, then I think 6% would be a good number to discuss.
What is the dollar amount that we're talking about?
There's two different components to any kind of water connection. And it's different, of course, when it's in town and out of town, and that's one of the reasons that we're here. The actual connection cost is calculated by the town's actual cost plus 25%. And this is from a fee schedule that was adopted, I think, maybe 10 years ago by council. It's been around for quite a while. So that actually comes out to probably around $50,000. And then the impact fee, which is essentially kind of look at it as buying into the system that already exists for a 6-inch meter outside of town, that's $50,000. So altogether, it's going to be around $100,000. And so that's why they've asked us if we could consider something that would help them with that cost.
So we're not, in essence, we're not waiving anything. They're gonna have to pay money for
That's
all
the
this.
recommendation from staff and from the committee both, yeah.
Right, okay. 5 years.
Did I get that right, Brian? Okay.
You said 6% is the going rate?
Well, I think, and Mr. Lee can probably help us with that part, but
it's cheaper than getting a commercial style loan. It's much, much cheaper. Prime is at 8 1/4, and the feds are talking about raising that. So, I think it's a fair rate, for what they're looking to do.
So is the recommendation from staff 5 years, at 6% interest? or
6% annual interest, yeah. And we have an agreement that we use. It's not exactly the same, but we have an agreement that we use. It's used very sparingly, but every once in a while, if we've got a situation where somebody needs to get caught up on their utility bill, usually it's just for a couple of months, but we can rework that and have Mr. Boitnott review it to make sure everything looks good. But yeah, that could be, the terms would be 5 years, 6% annual interest.
And we could put in there no penalty if they prepay it.
Of course.
Right.
Of course,
right,
yeah. Yeah, because we'd love that, so yeah.
And Mr. Boynton, if this passes, do we need to authorize someone in the motion to sign the document? Or are we good?
No, you're good. Typically, under that circumstance, Mr. Wood would sign on behalf of the town once the council approves the action.
Any questions of Mr. Wood? Any motions?
Yeah, motion to approve the request as stated
So
by
ju-
the mayor.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for a 5-year amortization with 6% interest.
Right.
No prepayment penalties.
Correct.
I have a motion. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the School Resource Officer Grant. Mr. Wood will present.
Okay. And Chief Young is here also if anyone has any specific questions about the police side of this. I think council is aware of this, and we might have even announced it at a council meeting. It was definitely in one of the weekly reports that we were happy to learn that we recently were awarded a grant from the Department of Criminal Justice, Justice Services. It is to help offset the cost of having a school resource officer, one of the 2 school resource officers. And so over the 4-year period, right, Chief? Which way do you go? 4-year period. And it amounts to 88,000 total, right?
That's 53,000 a year, but that's our portion as well.
Oh, that's right, because they roll it all, yeah, and the letter I'm looking at, they roll it all together, but it's about $50,000 per year for the 4 years is what it, so it helps offset the cost that we've talked about before of having a school resource officer. The total cost, of course, is around $100,000 a year per officer once you figure in compensation and the car and some of the other things that go into it. So this would offset about half of the cost of one of the 2 officers that we have. So it's a grant that we've received before. It doesn't cover all the costs, but it definitely helps. And so, of course, the staff recommendation is to accept the grant and authorize us to sign all the necessary paperwork.
I'll make the motion to accept the funds.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All opposed? I mean, all in favor?
You tricked us there.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the lease for Tough Book computers for police officers. Mr. Wood will present.
Okay. This is money that's already in the budget. Staff is proposing it to use it in a slightly different way than what was originally thought of. So the original plan was, there's about $11,000 in the budget that just started July 1st. The intent was to purchase 3 or 4 of the Tough Book computers, and the idea was that over the next 4 or 5 years, we were going to phase out the Surface Pros that the officers are using in their vehicles and replace them with Tough Book computers that are better suited for the type of work that they do and can handle some of the wear and tear better. The company that we were going to buy those from put together a proposal that's actually really good for the town, and it would allow us to go ahead and instead of buying 3 or 4 each year for the next 4 or 5 years, which is what it would take us to outfit all the officers, they would let us get all of those up front and do a lease purchase over the next 5 years. So it's same approximately $11,000 a year, but the advantage is that we would get the laptops up front rather than having to phase them in over the next 5 years. So staff recommendation is to go with the proposed lease that Chief Young worked with the company to put together.
Motion to approve.
And this is for every officer, correct?
It's gonna be the 12 patrol officers plus 2 school resource officers, so everybody in the vehicle.
So they'll each have their own, correct?
Correct, and just to kind of give you a quick, real brief, this is what was being used when I came here to Surface Pro. And as you see, it's a little bit of a flimsy, it's actually a tablet with a magnetic keyboard. And so, it just doesn't endure in a police vehicle over a period of 5 years. And so what we did with this, lease purchase is not only get the new Panasonic Tough Books, which is kind of the industry standard for police cars. It's a ruggedized computer. It's also under a 5-year warranty, so it will be under warranty for the entire, time that we've financed those computers.
Is there an interest rate on this finance?
There is on it, on that exact number. I think it said about $7,000 over the 5, yeah. It just has listed in the quote $7,500 in soft costs over 5 years.
I have a motion on the table. I've not heard a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move to proposed North Main Street Hotel. Mr. Wood will present, and then Mr. Patel is here after.
Council, everyone is aware of this item. We discussed it with the potential developer who is here tonight, Mr. Patel, who will speak to us shortly. Council was able to discuss his proposal with him last month in closed session. There's just for everyone else's benefit, there's a statute in the state code that allows for town councils to speak with potential either developers or companies that want to locate in town, economic development prospects, essentially. And so council did that at the last meeting and had a discussion about Mr. Patel's proposal, and he's going to address us shortly, so I won't cover everything. He'll cover some of those details. But the basic proposal is that he would like to build a hotel in town, something that I think everyone will agree is desperately needed, that could be a great benefit to the town and the county both, just because more people could stay in town. When we have events like the USA Cycling Championship that was here a few weeks ago, those people could stay in town rather than staying in wherever they were. Some of them were staying in Radford, Roanoke, all over the place. It would bring more of a benefit to the local economy, especially the restaurants and different businesses that are here. So I think we don't necessarily need to make a big case for why it would be good to hold a hotel here. I think we all understand that. Something that's been needed for a while. One thing that will likely come up, it's our understanding, we haven't actually seen the final copy, but it's our understanding that the county has done a study that also highlights this need for another couple of hotels in the county. And so this is something that has been talked about both at the town level and the county level, and something that fits into some of the goals and some of the things that we've set out to do over the last few years. I don't know if there's anything else to add on that right now before Mr. Patel speaks.
Mr. Patel, you want to come forward?
Good evening, everybody, and all present here. I would like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. My name is Amit Patel. I'm here on behalf of my family enterprise, Om Shri Suits LLC. We are here today with a proposal to build a business class hotel in the town of Rocky Mount. We have ample of evidence that the project will bring numerous benefits to the community. The proposed hotel will be located at the intersection of North Main Street and Grassy Hill, which is right behind the KFC and right across the Arby's, which is in the heart of the town of Rocky Mount. This central location offers accessibility and convenience for the visitors who are traveling on 220 and also in town. So it's easy in and easy out. The economic impact is up to 14 million investment in our town, cannot be underestimated. The construction of the hotel itself will create jobs, providing employment opportunities for local residents. Once operational, the hotel will continue to generate jobs in various sectors, including hospitality, maintenance, management, up to 18 jobs for that site. Furthermore, the presence of the hotel can attract tourists to Rocky Mount, beneficiating local businesses beyond the hotels itself. Tourists will likely spend more money dining, shopping, entertainment, which will be boosting the local economy rather than going to Radford. As just we mentioned, they will be spending more up here and staying here, potentially locally in the town. The effect of the new hotel in Rocky Mount is significant. As mentioned, the presence of hotel can be catalyst for attracting new businesses and restaurants around that. Once this is up, it will bring more restaurants or more platform for banking sector and business to come forward to for the new investment. This expansion of local business will create more jobs opportunity for residents and enhancing dining opportunity and better quality for the community. We are also proposing 1,500 square feet of meeting area, which will attract more businesses to come for the conferences and in town more meetings. With current challenges with a higher interest rate, increase in construction costs, and we are at the secondary market, we have asked town and county to help on the incentives and rebates for this. And this is because of the higher interest rate and costs and all those. We are committed to invest 14 million in Rocky Mount or the town of Rocky Mount and believe that first-class hotel will be crucial for the town's development. We appreciate for your vision for brighter future for town of Rocky Mount, and we hope that you carefully consider our proposal. This project will benefit our economic development, and we value project's ability to contribute to growth and well-being of our community. By supporting us build this hotel, you are investing in the brighter future for town of Rocky Mount. Thank you for your time. Together we can help the town of Rocky Mount thrive. And if any of you all have questions, definitely I'll try to answer.
How many rooms will it be?
It's going to be 85 rooms.
So I understand you have a restaurant. Did you mention restaurant?
I'm sorry.
Restaurant. Did you say you was gonna have
It
a
won't be a restaurant on premises. It will be free breakfast. So it will be something between 7 and 9, kind of a free breakfast to the guests. But we have 7 acres altogether up there. So we are trying to plan to make it 2 parcel. One parcel would be for the hotel, which will be around 3 acres, and the 4 acre would be further development for, could be a restaurant pad, which is right on the road, North Main Street. Could be a bank pad or a strip mall or apartment complex, because I think I've seen around, which I need to do a study, that there is a lot of shortage of housing around here.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how about pool?
I'm sorry?
Swimming pool. Would that be included?
Yes. So the brand we are talking to, they are not letting us do outdoor pool, but it would be an indoor pool because of the season and the weather, because it's going to be so cold for so many months. So they will allow us to do the indoor pool. Yes. So that is considered as inside pool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Patel alluded to it to some degree. I should have mentioned when I made my comments that there's another important angle here. The town has, for a while, even before my time, talked about what could be done to help revitalize North Main. A lot of the development that has occurred over the last 20 years has been kind of the east side of town. And so, as council knows, we have a grant that we received, the town received, to do a strategic plan to revitalize North Main. And so we also feel like this can be a good anchor for that effort to moving forward to try to get more development along North Main.
And when is the expected opening date? Once this gets-
I would say, if I have to guess, with all the timings and, you know, supply chain and all that, if we say, we can say something around last quarter of 2025. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Patel?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Is there a recommendation by staff?
The staff recommendation would be for council to authorize staff, including town attorney Boitnott, to go ahead and draft an agreement based on the terms that were discussed at the last meeting when we had a discussion, and then to authorize either the mayor or myself to execute that agreement once it's finalized.
We'll get a copy of that before it's executed.
We're not gonna hide it from you. We'll get it to you. So that's the recommendation, staff. Are there any motions?
I'll make a motion to proceed.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the hearing of citizens, and we have no one signed up to speak tonight. So we will move to, we have a closed session this evening. In order to enter into a closed session, the motion has to be made to move into a closed session under Virginia Code section cited as such. Section 2.2-3711A, 3, 5, and 7. Do I have a motion to go into the closed meeting under the cited code sections?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for attending. After the closed session, council will resume in the council chambers.
When is this?